Hello and welcome to Inside the Huddle, where we're going to look ahead to week 12 in the NFL. I'm your host, Neil Reynolds, with Phoebe Schechter. So it must be Thursday in snowy Manchester.
Yeah, honestly, this is day 3 of snow. I don't know where I live. I'm unsure now. I thought that it's not supposed to snow here, but it is beautiful. I'll be honest. The countryside is stunning with the snow.
I am jealous. We've no snow down here, just horrible rain in the
Oh
southeast.
no. The dogs would
So
have loved to run in the snow.
they do love that, absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit of news. We're going to talk about some things we have noticed around the NFL, what's on our radar, and we're going to look ahead to week 12. Let's start with Daniel Jones being benched by the New York Giants. Then their quarterback, he was taken 6th overall in the 2019 draft amid a chorus of boos. It's been a bumpy old ride. He's 2-8 in his 6th season. Phoebe, are you surprised?
Not really at all, to be honest. I mean, I think everybody eventually saw this coming. I appreciate that Brian Dable and his staff were giving him as many opportunities as possible to truly prove that he's just not their starting quarterback. I know we've talked about it before. I think the most confusing bit is you give him this major contract, whereas if you were unsure at any point, why would you pay him the money? But besides from all that, they are where they are now, and Daniel Jones just cannot live up to that franchise quarterback standard, and he's just been given too many chances, truthfully.
Yeah, so he was on a 4-year, $40 million per year deal. Many Giants fans look at it like, you paid Daniel Jones, you didn't pay Saquon Barkley. They probably could have paid both if they were clever about it. But he's got 2 years left on that deal, but there's no guaranteed money left. That's the important part, because unless he gets injured, and then the team are on the hook for $23 million in 2025. So this is why, Phoebe, he's gone from the starter to being 4th on the depth chart. I doubt if they even let him see the practice field the rest of the way.
Yeah, it has a very Russell Wilson and Broncos feel to it, ultimately, where you're just making business decisions. Essentially, you're at the end of the season. You've obviously had a losing season already. I do feel tight on him ultimately, because how do you go from being the guy that has to be the leader every single day, and no matter how good or bad it's going for you, you have to show up for them, and then all of a sudden now you are bottom of the totem pole. How do you go to work every day? And I know he's a professional and he'll find a way to do it, but knowing that he is probably not going to see that field anymore. I mean, it's just kind of the yucky side of the NFL that, it's not very
Mm.
pleasant.
No, it is a cold business. On the field, seeing him in Munich, he just wasn't good enough. He wasn't confident enough. I think he was expecting 3 or 4 yard windows in the NFL. That's where his confidence had been shot. I think receivers that were half a yard open, he just didn't want to stick the ball in there. And I guess you hear about gunslingers as quarterbacks. I think he got gun shy.
Yeah, and there were a lot of times that he just was inaccurate. I mean, the receiver may have been open and the football literally was just not within a catching radius. And I know as a receiver, you're never to blame your quarterback, but I mean, you could see it. And it wasn't necessarily that he had a bad base. It was just accuracy. And we talk with, again, Scott Pioli so much about it. Decision making and accuracy are the two most important things. And then
Yeah.
arm strength comes after that.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right. And Tommy DeVito time then. This is a bit strange that they bypassed Drew Lock, who was the number 2. Tommy DeVito's the kind of local hero, New Jersey kid, lived with his parents last year as a rookie, already got himself a nickname, Tommy Cutlets, got an agent who's absolutely off the charts. I mean, goodness. Um, why do you think they went there and not Drew Lock?
I think that people are excited for Tommy DeVito. Like you're saying, he's a local guy. You're gonna sell tickets because he's got friends and family that will want to come watch him play. I think there's a lot of people that want to see his agent. I mean, he brings a lot of positive noise to the Giants organization right now. And at this point, I think that's all they need. They just need some sort of excitement around their team. And he does bring that.
Yes, he does. Yeah, Giants are at home to Tampa Bay on Sunday. Let's stay with New York. I mean, if the NFL wants to build around its New York teams, then they're in a lot of trouble because the 3-8 Jets have fired Joe Douglas, their general manager. So, Phoebe, when we look at this now, the big three, Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, they're both gone, general manager and head coach. The only one left is Aaron Rodgers. And there are now reports out of New York, quite open reports, that players want this season to just be over. What do you make of this latest drama for the Jets?
Oh, it just kind of goes to the issues that they have at the core of who they are. I mean, ultimately, Woody Johnson's been an owner for them for so long. And I think when they came over to the UK, they were embarrassed by that situation. He's got quite a strong relationship over here with the British. But then Joe Douglas, he's been with the team for 6 years. And more kind of just yuckiness keeps coming up around this organization in the sense that Joe Douglas at the end of last season was saying, why don't you just fire me now? You're talking about January, February time, and he's having these conversations just amongst other Jets employees. He wasn't involved in the Robert Saleh firing, which is completely ridiculous when there is a general manager. I just think that there's, that he probably lost the room. He lost the relationship with Woody Johnson. And it's almost like, well, why are you keeping me around? If you're going to make all the decisions at the end of the day anyways, what are we doing?
Woody Johnson is an interesting and significant player in all this. He owns the team. He sets the tone right from the top. And there was a story in The Athletic this week that Woody Johnson wanted Aaron Rodgers to be benched after their week 4 loss against Denver. So the home loss just before they came to London. And this to me, I mean, he didn't play well in that game. That could be very well a factor, but it's crazy to me. You make all this effort to go and sign Aaron Rodgers, presenting him with a jar of honey from the Queen's Garden. I mean, that's how far you went. And then you don't see him play in 2023, and you're desperate for him to hit the field in 2024. And as the owner, you're ready to pull the plug after 4 weeks.
I mean, it's madness. And whatever can be said around Aaron Rodgers, he's a Hall of Fame level quarterback, and you want to bench him. And I think Tyrod Taylor is a wonderful quarterback, but he's still not Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he offers you something different, but why on earth would you think about making that decision? Almost pull the plug yourself because you're the owner and you do technically have final say, but it's Aaron Rodgers. This is what you've built your whole organization around, is this one man, and 4 games is not enough time to know anything about anybody.
And 4 weeks in, you're basically pulling the pin on the hand grenade because you can't go back to Aaron Rodgers in week 7, week 8, week 9. That bridge is not just burned, it's blown to smithereens.
I know. Could you imagine what that building would have felt like if they had benched Rodgers in week 4? I mean, you wouldn't even want to touch that with a pole. It would be just so. Ooh. Oh, I couldn't imagine Aaron Rodgers in that mood. Thank you.
No, that's not good for the Giants and the Jets. Let's talk about some things we noticed around the NFL. So these are not necessarily news, but they're from social media, things we like, things we maybe don't like, but they tell us some stuff. Phoebe, what have you got to kick us off?
So I have at the SoFi game last weekend, they had the Bills Chiefs game up on the screen. And when the Bills scored, the whole stadium went crazy when they beat the Chiefs. And I just thought that was so cool. I love seeing other teams, just kind of rooting against the Chiefs a little bit.
Yeah, everyone's had the Chiefs are definitely the new Patriots. Everyone's had enough of that already. It's horrible for them because all they did was end that Patriots reign and everyone loved them for it. And now they've been too good. We don't need to be too good. You need to be just good enough to end them and then end yourselves. And mine's in the same stadium.
Oh,
after the game, the Chargers beating the Bengals. I love the quirkiness of Jim Harbaugh. And I love the way he loves his players and they clearly love him. And to the point where I'm sure NFL players sing a lot of things in locker rooms, but they're quite cool, some of them. And they don't sing for "He's a Jolly Good Fellow." And that's what Jim Harbaugh led them in a chorus of. And I just thought that just showed that they don't They don't want to be cool. They just want
No.
to be there for their coach. I love what's going on with the Chargers right now.
I know he's done such a lovely job. And we talked about it on the show on Sunday, just the culture that he's brought, the way that he's changed that whole environment. It has a very kind of young and light feel around it, which is so
Yeah.
nice to see. It's just people who love playing football and Jim Harbaugh is just, I think, such a wonderful, I think he carries so much of a father figure for the players as well as being a head coach. So it's pretty
Mm.
great to see.
The last coach I saw leading a chant of "He's a jolly good fellow" in an NFL locker room was Marv Levy, who was the same way in Buffalo. But Marv Levy was kind of like, they saw him like their grandfather
Yes.
or their father. That's what these players are looking up to Jim Harbaugh the same way. It's really fascinating what's going on with the Chargers. On our radar, things we're going to be looking at this weekend, the coming weekends, things that maybe are going to pop up over the coming weeks. Phoebe, what have you got for us there?
So mine is just as it says on the tin, in the sense of I am looking forward to this Harbaugh versus Harbaugh game coming up. The Ravens taking on the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh is leading them in their win so far. And I just feel like this is going to be such a great matchup. The last time these two brothers were together, they get to be back in the NFL together. And so I just cannot wait to watch this game for Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's a great way to wrap up week 12. And for me, see, that's all positive. Mine's, I'm just going grumpy negative.
There's a lot of negative things happening right now, so we got to be like that positive sandwich.
But let's keep an eye on this going forward. High profile shutdowns. So is Aaron Rodgers going to have a couple of injuries that makes him say, I can't get out there this week? Do the Jacksonville Jaguars go back to Trevor Lawrence down the stretch, given how bad things are? Now it's always a tricky one. That you could do that maybe with a wide receiver, but those are, like you've talked about just with Rodgers and Daniel Jones. You said it; those are your leaders.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know how. The thing is, with Aaron Rodgers, you could see him just saying, "Oh, I think I banged up my shoulder a little bit. I'm not sure if I can really go out there." Trevor Lawrence, I feel like he's still young enough and he's still one of those guys that just wants to be playing. I know it's not been a great situation for him, but you could see that. I mean, almost like we're seeing with Anthony Richardson, right? He's been benched, you come back. I mean, I think for some of these players, especially who are in kind of dire situations, it's almost like, when you're just spinning out of control and you just need to stop. Sometimes just stepping back from those 1-2 weeks, not having the pressure of being that guy can almost help you reset, because that's the whole thing with the NFL. There never is a break. There never is a time that you can truly reset. Even the bye weeks, yes, the players are normally out for maybe 4 or 5 days, but you're not thinking about how you're going to be the number one player. And so I think that this could help him. And if Trevor Lawrence comes back, I think he'll be in a much more positive mindset. We'll see what happens with the head coach, but we will be in a much more positive mindset at least.
Well, I think Trevor's going to be playing to impress whoever the next head coach is as well.
Yeah.
So that's a factor. Right, let's look at some of these games then for week 12. We've got 3 on Sunday. We've got Detroit at Indianapolis. San Francisco are playing at the Green Bay Packers. These forgotten Sunday Night Football. And Philadelphia are at the Rams. But the first two we'll talk about in a second. But let's start with another game in the NFC North. Minnesota at Chicago. So the Vikings are 8-2. They've won 3 in a row. The Bears have lost 4 in a row. Haven't won since they were at Tottenham. But was it better from Caleb Williams? They had Thomas Brown calling the plays for him last week.
Yeah, it definitely was better. I mean, this was probably one of his better games since he was over here in London.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see that kind of positive side. I think he's needed. First off, it's a shame that they ended the game the way that it did, where they had a blocked field goal, because actually they were putting together consistent drives. They involved the running game a little bit more. DJ Moore had the highest amount of yards that he's had since week 5. I mean, those are positive things because you need to be able to engage with DJ Moore. He's one of your top receivers. Rome Odunze is becoming that kind of number 2 guy for him, and they've got such a great connection. It's almost like, Caleb, what are you comfortable with? What do you feel good about? And let's just go with that for now, because you can't lose in that sense.
Seemed to get the ball out of his hands quicker. Maybe
Yeah.
does that take away some of the decisions that he needs to make? Or
Yeah, and I think, when you're putting together these kind of game plans, if you tell him, all right, we're only going to focus on one side of the field, or these are your 1, 2, read and get out of there. Because you're right, he was holding on the ball a little bit too long, kind of doing that little pat thing. He wasn't making those decisions. He was ending up getting sacked, and it just kind of all crumbled together. But now you come in and say, hey, read 1, read 2, get out of there, make a decision, work on.
Minnesota offense is kind of middle of the pack. I was looking at a lot of the numbers. The Sam Darnold's a bit of a mystery, and he's certainly cooled off from the MVP talk of the first 4 weeks of the season. He's thrown 19 touchdown passes. That's 5th best in the NFL, but he got 14 giveaways. That's the most in the league. And even last week, there wasn't a lot of running from the Vikings. I wonder if they're out of balance at the moment. But they're winning. They're winning 8-2. It really feels really picky to pick apart an 8-2 team.
I know, but their defense is so much a part of why they're that 8-2 team. Whether
Right.
you're looking at the sacks they're getting, Van Ginkel again with 2 sacks, or the interceptions that they're just constantly giving their offense a chance. I think the Vikings came into this year, this big flashy kind of item that no one anticipated. And then the past few games, we're just seeing Sam Darnold being challenged and being forced to throw some pretty decent footballs. And yes, you've still got Justin Jefferson, who's always going to give you a chance. It's good to see Jordan Addison stepping up a little bit more, kind of helping with that. But you're right, the running game was almost non-existent last week. And they've got to be able to get that running game going, bring that play action in. It just slows down that pass rush on Sam Darnold.
All right. So our first game on Sunday, we're on air at 5 o'clock on Sky Sports NFL. We kick off at 6. We get to see the Detroit Lions. They're 9-1 at the Indianapolis Colts, who are 5-6. And Phoebe, this is a chance to just witness the power of Detroit. If I look at some of the numbers, they lead the NFL with 34 points per game. They've won 8 in a row for the first time since 1934. They're a perfect 5-0 on the road. They've got a points differential of 159 plus 159. The next best is Buffalo at 106. So, yeah, Kings of the Jungle?
1000%. I mean, this team is setting NFL records, and they are phenomenal to watch. They're so much fun because it's not even like they do it in one way. It is the run game. It is the multitude of weapons they have. It's special teams. It's defense. I mean, this could not be more of a complete team, more of a fun team, and more of a team that you would want to get behind, being led by Dan Campbell. And so finally, we get the opportunity to see them, watch their whole game, and see what they can do to a Colts team that are still trying to find their identity, bringing in Anthony Richardson, who's off the back of a great game for himself, too.
Yeah. You're right about the completeness, because last week Jared Goff did whatever he wanted through the air, but then it was Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They're the only team in the NFL that have got 3 players with at least 8 touchdowns, some Brown, Gibbs, and Montgomery. They've had big special teams returns. That game against Tennessee, they blew open. They're 260-odd return yards. And they're only allowing 18 points per game, which is top 5 in the NFL. So, I mean, there's everything here, and it's really makes you nervous to say it on November the 21st. But this is a Super Bowl team. The Lions have never been to a Super Bowl, and actually, when you watch it objectively, there's no reason in the world why they shouldn't be there in February.
No, and really, when you're looking at it, who could they not beat in the NFL right now? I feel like because of what they can do, they could literally beat anyone, and they deserve to be at the Super Bowl. They were so close last year, and I think that really hurt them. They got that taste. They want to get back here. They've been a team that have been so intentional about getting to the Super Bowl and having that be their end goal. Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, their defensive and offensive coordinator, choosing to stay with the team. These are 2 of the best coordinators, especially Ben Johnson. I mean, probably the past 2-3 years, he could have been a head coach, and he wants to stay, and he believes in the Lions, which says so much. And you can see what that means for the players as well. They're like, wow, you believe in us that much that you're going to stay here we are going to the Super Bowl. And if you truly believe that and your whole organization feels that, because they're also interestingly humble and hungry throughout this whole thing. They have this really nice balance of, again, because Dan Campbell's their head coach, it just makes them so fun to watch and so easy to get behind.
Absolutely. You mentioned Richardson. So Anthony Richardson back from the bench, back from the benching as well, from being tired against Houston. Career high 272 passing yards last week against the Jets. Maybe more importantly, 2 very physical rushing touchdowns, including the game winner. It starts with him, doesn't it, with the Colts?
It does, and it has to. And he had something to prove to his teammates. He had to get out there and say, look, guys, I messed up, but I'm here. I need you to trust me. And the best way of getting someone to trust you, getting your team back on side with you, is to do things like that. And so those rushing touchdowns meant so much more than just, oh, we're going to get in there. And we both said it, how physical he was. He was determined. He was not going to take no for an answer in terms of getting into the end zone in those scenarios. But he knows he messed up. Shane Steichen talked about how he needs to prepare. He needs to get in the gym. He needs to do all those things. Well, that game starts to show that actually he's taking the steps to doing the right thing, to becoming the professional. He's not really played much NFL football, much college football. So therefore, he just needs to learn. He's still a kid. I mean, he's 21 years old. I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
He's 21 years old. He's a
20.
baby. 22. He's
20.
a baby
Yeah,
still.
the point remains. This won't take very long. Let's pick this one. I'm going Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I don't see how anyone beats them right now.
All right. Our next game on Sunday will be at 9:25. The San Francisco 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. So 2 giants of the NFC traditionally, but the 49ers are 5-5. And Phoebe, I know we're going to talk about this on Sunday, but we can definitely chat about it here as well. They've been so close. So lost the Super Bowl in 2019, lost the NFC Championship game 2021, 2022 seasons, lost the Super Bowl last year. Now they've had a bunch of injuries as well. Kittle missed the last game. Bosa went out of the last game. Ayuk's gone for the season. Debo's been in and out. Are the injuries the reason this team is 5-5, or are they deflated from where they've been so close to the top of the mountain and haven't managed to get there?
I think they're just tired, and that fatigue is with being deflated, right? You get so close so many different times. Your season is extended. You're playing so much more football than any other team. And you can be like the Chiefs where, oh, we're playing longer, but we're winning, so it's fine. That kind of rejuvenates you when you've got a Super Bowl trophy to hold at the end of it. But when you come up empty-handed time and time again, and you feel like we're believing in the process, we're doing all the things that coaches asked us to do, and we're showing up every day, and none of it's working, you start to question things as well. And that combination is never good. And so, yeah, there are injuries. I mean, CMC has probably been one of the biggest ones that they never would have anticipated.
Probably should have mentioned him, shouldn't I?
He's back. He's back. It doesn't matter. But he's a huge part of their success or lack of their success. And Brock Purdy's not playing like the quarterback that we saw him playing the past couple of years.
Neither is Jordan Love for some reason. Jordan Love has thrown at least 1 interception in each of the 8 games he's played this year. Now, the Packers still, because they've got Josh Jacobs driving them, they've got good young receivers, the Packers are still winning games. Yeah, they're in great shape in the NFC North. But that's because the mistakes that Jordan Love is making now, to me, are the kind of ones where you think, oh, that could end our season in January at the wrong time. You make one of those mistakes in January and we're done.
Yeah, and we saw him last year in the playoffs, and he looked phenomenal. We talked about how he had improved all season long. He just kept going from strength to strength. And this season has been kind of chop and change for him, especially when we're talking about how much it's been praised. A quarterback who got to sit for his first year, sit behind Aaron Rodgers, learn from him. You wouldn't have expected this much of a fallback. And he's always been an aggressive style quarterback. I mean, that's in his nature. He's going to take those shots. And with those shots, you're going to get a 50-50 every now and then. But the way and the rate in which he's turning the ball over is just putting his team in such negative positions that I don't know how, if he continues to do this, they're able to overcome it for the rest of the season. There's a lot more football that needs to be played.
Yeah, so the 49ers should just say 5-5. They're only one win behind the Arizona Cardinals, who we'll talk about in a second. But we've got to pick this game, Phoebe.
Ooh.
I think this is a Christian McCaffrey game. I'm going 49ers on the road at Lambeau. I think this is it. This is the time for Kyle Shanahan, who suddenly looks very old and very stressed, by the way.
It ages you. It's like a presidency, you know? He's just getting right.
Yeah. There are things like that. There are basically England football manager, president, and a coach of a losing NFL team. They'll stick some years on you, sorry. But I'm going 49ers this one. Who do you like, Packers or 49ers?
Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers. I just think their defense still love Fred Warner, still love what they can do. And I don't trust Jordan Love to not turn the ball over more than once.
All right, let's move on. Stay in the NFC West with Arizona at Seattle. Arizona have won 4 straight. I just want to touch on this one relatively briefly. I'm surprised Seattle were 2-4 at home. You've been there. You know what that atmosphere is like. That fortress needs to reinvent itself for this weekend because the Seahawks are still alive at 5-5.
Yes, they do. I mean, and gosh, to think that you're losing at home in that beautiful stadium that is built to be there as your like crowd and the people that get behind you. I don't understand how they're losing there, but a lot of it does come down to Geno Smith and what they're not able to do. This game is going to be really big for them because Kyler Murray is operating at the best level that we've ever seen him playing. I mean, they are scoring 28 plus points off the past 3 games. They're coming off a bye week where they were on a 4-game winning streak. I mean, this team is on the up and up, and this can be a dangerous place for them to come into if they start to get the crowd to turn as well. You don't want to be booed out of your own stadium. It's too pretty.
Yeah, no. Well, this whole NFC West is wide open because you got the Cardinals at 6-4, then you got San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams at 5-5. So let's move on to the Rams. Then they're in Sunday Night Football slot this coming week in Week 12, taking on the Eagles. So Philadelphia, this 2 informed teams. Philadelphia have won 6 in a row. The Rams have won 4 of 5. Well, let's start with the Rams, Phoebe, because I guess there are parts of their team. I certainly look at the Rams this way. There are parts of their team where it doesn't matter if they're there or not every week, or they blow hot and cold. But for them to win, it has to be Stafford. And 9 times out of 10, as we saw last week against New England, it has to be Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. That's the 3, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and they've had a chance since both of those receivers have come back. I mean, even Puka's first game back after his injury, it was like he had never been missed. And you can just see that Stafford is able to breathe now because he's got his go-to guys. I mean, Cooper Kupp always finds a way to get open. He's so shifty. He's so great at the top of route. He's such a smart athlete. I mean, they need these 2 athletes to be on the field for them to even have a chance. I mean, they're making Stafford look terrific. I mean, he has such a high rating when those 2 are around.
Good battle as well, because Philadelphia's secondary was a mess last year. And they fixed that pretty quick, haven't they, on that back end? So this is good. Philadelphia's pass defense against the Rams coming out, throwing it all over the yard.
Honestly, Philadelphia's defense was probably the best thing that came out of that Commanders game. Just in terms of seeing what they could do. It was like they were rejuvenated. The combination of the pass rush with that secondary. I mean, they've been lights out. Cooper DeJean is one of my favorite players that they've brought onto this team. I mean, as a rookie, he is playing lights out. Those open field tackles, which you will need to make against Cooper Kupps and Puka Nacuas like that, they are so much fun, and they get after you. So Stafford's going to have to be able to get that ball out quickly, but that secondary, they're really sticky.
Who do you like in this one? I feel like, and we haven't mentioned him yet, but I feel like everything falls back. All those other things are nice with the Eagles. Then it falls back to Saquon Barkley because he's in the form of his life as well. So this one's on the road. It's a long trip across country for the Eagles, but I think Philadelphia, They've won 6 in a row. I think they make it 7. Do you like Philly or do you like the Rams at home?
Yeah, I like Philly in this one. I think between Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts getting a a rushing touchdown in each of the last 5 games, I don't know how they're going to stop him. I mean, the Rams gave up a lot, last week to Drake May and his rushing yards, and he's not even Jalen Hurts.
No. Last thing then to wrap up our Week 12 preview. The Monday night game, as you mentioned, the Harbaugh Bowl. Jim and John going at it. But this, Phoebe, as well, it's a big stage for Lamar. I feel like it's not a proper big playoff stage. But if you think about some of the games where Lamar has played this year, where Chiefs in week 1, then the Steelers, those are like proper like playoff level games, which is where Lamar has failed in the past. And it's actually where he's failed this year. So while this is about Jim and John Harbaugh, and it is fantastic, the love they have for each other, the whole family is a football family, I'm going to be keeping a real eye on Lamar in this game.
Yeah, he's got to be able to come through and be that leader for his team. Keep his head kind of level-headed, calm, because you're right. Every time the lights have shone bright, he has found a way to kind of retreat into himself. And after this big loss to the Steelers, people are going to be looking at him, and he's got to be able to handle that pressure, which is odd because you would think naturally a guy like him would be great with pressure. He seems so calm, cool, collected, but it's the performance on the field and the marriage and combination of the play calling that's happening as well. So not to put it all on Lamar, but he has got to be the one that's kind of that engine and ignites the team.
Now, you'll know this way better than me. When games end in the NFL, the road team races out of the stadium, races to the airport, gets on their way back home, especially for the Ravens. It's going to be a late night, early morning as they get back to the East Coast. I just hope Jim and John have time for one glass of red together in one of their offices. Find a little corner inside the stadium, just chink a little cheers at each other, and then get on the plane.
I think that would be wonderful. It's not going to happen. Maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday night they'll do that. They'll have their brothers' dinner together.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Like Phoebe said before, they met in the Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans, and they're going to meet again now after Jim's been out of the NFL for a decade. So, Phoebe, that's it. We're done. I'll see you in the studio on Sunday.
You've got a flight to catch. This is very important.
I am going to Miami to host a little event for the Dolphins. I'm in Miami for 22 hours.
Oh my gosh. Casual flex as well, but that's crazy. We're wild.
I've got a lot of stuff downloaded on here to watch on the plane. So.
Good man. We'll have your coffee ready in studio on Sunday.
I'll be fine by then. Good. All right. So, Phoebe, I'll see you on Sunday. We'll see everyone who's going to watch us on Sunday. We'll be on air from 5 o'clock. First game kicks off at 6, Detroit and Indianapolis. And everyone who listens to Inside the Huddle will be back with Jeff on Monday. Bye for now.